So let's start the lesson 20, group by. Okay, this is like a dinosaur of whole SQL. I told you group by has a higher weightage when compared to rest of your SQL skills. So if I put the whole SQL training course or the entire database analyst roles put together, specifically for the database developer, working for a software application, knowing group by, knowing the joins, and then knowing how to write a store procedure is more than enough. So these three things. So out of these three, now we are going to hit the first one, group by. Again, I keep saying this is very important. This has high weightage. You need to know how to. But when you actually enter into this lesson, it's very simple. It's not at all complicated. I would say any all might be complex than group by. That's how this is. But this is most used like for reporting. For a lot of things. I'm going to show you examples where we are going to use this. Okay. And then group by operator is used in SQL to arrange identical data into groups. It's like you have employee table, you have client table, you can group employees by the department, or you can group employees by their designation, or you can group customers by their city or by their age or by their gender. A lot of things you can group by pretty much any column. So that's why you have a group by clause, a group by operator. Purpose, group by groups, rows that have, and once you have a groups, then on the group you will try to use the aggregate functions to say, okay, how many employees are there in a given department, what is the sum of salary I need to have for a given department, or what is the average salary of a department, things like that. Okay, group by groups, rows that have the same values in specified columns into summary rows. Summary is like you are trying to summarize. Let's say you have 20 students in a class. Like if you want to summarize, then you say I have a count of 20. That's the summary, right? So common mistakes, this is when using group by all columns in the select statement. I'm going to explain this with an example. So let's before even getting into the SQL part, I'm going to have very generic discussion here about group by, right? So let's say I have an employee table, 10 employees, first name, last name, salary, and department. Okay, I want to know some of the salaries expensed per department. Then this for accounting I spend like 250K, for executive 1.75 million, for HR 200K, for sales 300K. This is a very common ask from the business teams. How much salary are we spending on a given department, right? Or you might say, I have orders table. Can someone say how many orders a given client has in our database? Like I want to know who is very important customer, who is not ordering. I can do a lot of business analysis, and then I can send them emails, thank you emails, or send them coupons. People who have more than 10 orders, or people who has less than 1-2 orders, you can try, have some campaigns, marketing campaigns to encourage them. So this is how actually the data is being used, right? We have seen creating table, how to insert, update, delete, but beyond that there should be the purpose of storing the data, and that's what we are getting into now. Actual business purpose of the data. You can read what the data tells you, like make business decisions, right? So here I am counting the orders by client ID. I'm not going to show you at like what is the command and all, but just try to understand the business, not the SQL. Keep the SQL apart now. Just let's see how the group by can be used. What does it mean? So these are real business questions. So can you give me the count of orders for each customer? So this is the answer. Okay, or you can say, okay, can you give me the total revenue per customer? I mean, how much a customer has spent on at my restaurant or at my grocery store. I want to know the total order amount for a given customer throughout a year, or for a given month, or for lifelong numbers, right? So this is it. So client ID 3 has spent most revenue, $162.40, right? So this is another business question. So let's see what we have here. And to complicate little bit, I want to see here I was just seeing as the total amount spent by a customer, or total number of orders placed by a customer. Now I want to complicate little bit. I want to see total number of orders as well as how much money they spent, right? So this might be another question too. So here is the client ID, He has total 3 orders, and out of 3 orders he spent about $162 over 3 orders. So the customer 1, even though he has 6 orders, he spent less than customer 3. So this is like a business decision if you want to do something about this. Okay, and then if I want to still further complicate it more, I want the clients in a given year and month, how many orders did they place and what was their order amount, right? So this is a little bit more complicated, but this is very general scenario that you see in the reports or dashboards that you will be developing in future as a database developer or a data analyst. Okay, right. So this is so whatever I explained so far has nothing to do with the SQL or group by or syntax, how complicated inner join, left join or in clause, nothing like this. Is pure business, right? So what I am trying to say here is, to get a hold of group by, you should have a command on the business. If you are working in a hospital, okay, so let's say how many different patients got admitted to this room in a given year or a given month. That will be a business question, right? And then how is my admissions look like, how many rooms are empty, what is the fill percentage or occupancy percentage, things like. So understanding the business is very important. If you understand the business logic, then writing group by is like, maybe I would say, just 1% of the entire problem. Okay, yeah. And now we have seen these graphs in our chapter 3 when we are talking about data and tables, right? So you might have also seen this in the newspapers or the news channels or online somewhere, or in your banking app. Whenever you try to log in, there is a dashboard on the banking app. So behind the scenes, the group by SQL statement is used to get data like this, right? Here, they have it's like doing the sum, what is this, on the total revenue, and then they group by the year, right? And then they group by the product types here. And then here, this is about US election result, this is Canada election result. They are grouping by the candidates here, they are grouping by the party, NDP, Liberals, Green Party, stuff like that. Okay, so in anything like this, you should assume that behind this there's a group by. Let's say that I have this, you cannot bring this data, convert this data to something like this unless you have like aggregate or summarized data points, right? And then you get the summarized data points, you use aggregate functions with the combination of group by. Okay, and this is one of the real report that as a Tansy we did a project like 10 years back for an education institution, right? This is a progress report of a student. Now if you look at here, for the June there were 26 working days, and this student was present for 26 days, right? So I will be taking attendance for each day, and then counting, I do count or sum of his presence, and then bring this here. Here I'll be bringing his like marks over the year, moving forward. And this is in middle is for a given exam, but here this bar is like average of his performance in subjects over the period of year, over all the exams that were conducted until this point. So this is like average. And here this is like a sum, a percentage, a grade, of course it doesn't involve any group by. So things like that, this is like real world scenarios for you might have already seen something like this. So now another example here. Let's say I have different types of fruits on the chart, or physically lying on the table. Okay, if I ask you a question, how many apples you have, you will be straightforward, you will start counting 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So that's why I mentioned 6 here. How many oranges I have? 4 oranges. How many bananas? I have 3. I have 3 dates and 3 almonds. So basically what you are trying to do here is you are grouping these fruits by fruit name. For apple 6, so you are trying to get a count by the group name. If someone says, how many fresh fruits you have, how many dry fruits you have, right? So you have to count these 2 are dry fruits, 3 plus 3 6, and remaining 13 are all fresh fruits. If someone says, can you group by color, how many orange fruits I have, right? So orange 4 fruits, and how many yellow fruits I have. Irrespective of whether it being a banana or an apple, you have to concentrate on the question, right? That is very important. That's why I say writing a SQL is very easy as long as you can understand and dissect the business requirements. This is like understanding the business, the English language, the nouns, pronouns, verbs, different things from whatever the requirements you get. Okay. So when I say yellow, irrespective of the fruit name, I say I have 5 yellow fruits. Where is this? I have 5 yellow fruits. So that's what this is like. You have data in a table, you can group in a different dimensions you want. Okay. So this is how the data you can store in the database table, right? And then again, I'm trying to get same output. So how this is done, apples, you sum this apple 6, you should have one more apple somewhere. Yeah, over here. 3, 4, 5, 6. It will take sum of these 3 rows and it will display. When you write a query on this to say, can you give me counts, by fruit name? So it won't repeat apple 1, apple 3. No, when you say I want the like counts by fruit name, so it will take distinct. You remember the distinct command that we looked other day? So it will pick up the distinct name first. It will pick up apple, banana, orange, almonds, dates, and put it in a column, and then it will go back and it will do a sum on the fruit count for apple. Those 3 rows will picked up, and then that's how the database will be doing behind the scenes in the computer memory. Banana, it will say, okay, how many rows? It will scan through the entire table. Okay, I have 3 rows for bananas, and then it will sum it up and go, right? If you say group by fruit type, so what the first thing it will do, it will not look at all the columns. It will take the distinct value from this column. This is very important to understand how you are going to get the results of your group by commands, right? Fresh, okay, and dry. These are the 2 different distinct values. So it will bring this, and then it will start counting all the counts for the fresh and all the counts from dry. So that's how the group by works. If someone say a group by color, it will bring the distinct values from this column, and then it will count the matching colors. Okay, that's how it is. So this is little bit of elaboration of how that's happening. Same thing what I actually explained. For apples, it will pick the label only once, and then it will sum them together. Okay. And then for fresh fruits, it will bring these labels, and then it will sum them together. For colors, it will do the same thing. Okay. And here, if you watch out, I started giving the command for the group by here, right? Select fruit name. I want the fruit name, and then sum fruit count. I want sum of this fruit count. That's it. That's how it's very simple. From this table, and this is very important. This is where a lot of people make mistake. What to put in the group by? That is the biggest question anyone will have as a fresher or even experienced person. Right? So I have a simple technique for that. I'm going to tell you very soon. Yeah. So here I want fruit type. This is a column name, right? So I'm saying select fruit type, right? And then I'm summing the counts. Where is it? Yeah, sorry, fruit count. Fruit type, yeah, I want fruit type, and then I'm summing the count. That's what this is about. So, okay. So if someone asks something, you should be able to convert that into a SQL statement. Even though you have errors, you should have first pseudocode of, okay, what I'm trying to do here. Yeah. So here, select color, then sum fruit count, okay. Then group by color, okay. Yeah, from table. So in reality, you might have 10 tables involved. You might be having group by, you might have where clause. You might have all sorts of things in this group by, but this is very simplistic group by sample. Okay, and this syntax is same on all the 4 databases: MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, and MS SQL. Okay, now a little bit complicated. This is where if you understand this, then you can write a group by on a single table without joins, like easy. So here this might be very easy, but I told you I'll explain you how to write what column names to come here. Some people say group by color comma fruit count, the freshers, but it will give an error, right? So it's very simple. So first of all, you have to understand the question here, right? I want to know the fruit names, the count of fruit names by color. This is plain English. Now you have to translate this into columns first. Okay, what this person is asking, he's saying he wants fruit count by colors, fruit names and count. So you can have a column called count, and then you can give fruit name and color, right? If I say just fruits by color, then I'm not asking fruits is a table. I'm not asking anything. If the moment I say fruit name by color, then that is a column name here, fruit names color. So that means here all along I was grouping by one column, now I started grouping by two columns. The same thing example we have seen, order count for customer, at the same time I want the sum of the order amount for the same customer. Okay, so here also same thing. So again, it's very simple. First, if you come up with the headers, then this combination, if you remember our distinct command that we used, so it will try to bring the distinct values from these two tables. It will not repeat apple red, apple, where is apple, there is no red, banana green, banana yellow, see banana yellow, it won't repeat. It will first of all try to fill up these two columns with the distinct values, and then it's simple to do the mathematical count, right? So now let me tell you. So here converting your English into a columns, and then what he's asking for counts, that means sum of counts. So you apply a function, aggregate function on that column. Now it's very simple. Let's see here in the select clause I have column 1, column 2, column 3, right? This is very important. Remember this forever. Column 1 and column 2 does not have any aggregate functions like sum, count, min, max, nothing. They are blank. So the columns in the select statement that don't have any aggregation or any summarization or any mathematical calculation, bring them down to group by. That's it, period. So your query will run. Okay, do not bring the columns where you are trying to summarize or trying to use aggregate functions. Do not bring them over in the group by. Okay, and one thumb rule here is, if I say group by fruit name and don't say color, you will get error, because you have to bring all the columns that are not aggregated in the select into the group by. That's simple it is. Okay, right. So now let's look at some queries. Okay, so here we have looked at the very first slide, some of the salaries for a given department. So this is how your query will look like, right? So from org employee, obvious, and then I want to get the, always you have to visualize what will be my columns, like the labels, I call it as a labels, and then what will be my aggregate column or summary column. If you can figure this out, then writing the query is easy. The label columns will be like column name, comma, and then aggregate columns will be either sum or min or max or average. That's it, and then table name, done, right? And then here I want the order count, right? So order count is, this is here one more thing, I don't have a column called order count or something like that. So you can say count star. Count star means it will count the number of rows. That's the functionality of this command here, count function. Count star is like, okay, can you count the number of rows? If you say select count star from account order, I get the value 28. But if you say select client ID comma count star, and then you group by client, so you get the number of rows for each client. So that means those are number of orders. Okay, right. And then here total amount, right? See here I want the count is like I am going to use, this is also, you need to know which aggregate function to use, whether to use count or min or sum, because I want to get the total revenue of a given client. I can't say count. If I say count on the order amount, I get only 3. So if I say sum on the order amount, then it will calculate the addition of all the invoice amounts for that customer. Okay, so yeah, client ID 1, where is we have it? No, 25. Do we have any repeating? Maybe it's not coming in my screenshot here. Okay, because this is a lengthy table, right? So this is the actual output, client ID 3, where is 3? 3 has 3 rows, but here in the screenshot I don't see. It is a limitation of the screen size. Okay, so this is how you write a query. Select client ID, and then I want to sum on the amounts to get the total amount spent by that client. Okay, and then I'm aliasing, because if you don't alias, this column will be listed as this sum order amount. So it's better to save the meaning of this column. From account ID, the group by. Group by is like non-aggregated columns from your select will come into group by. Okay, it's very simple. Yeah. And here what we are trying to do, order count. This query is wrong here. I need to have order count here, right? So I say select client ID count star, again then comma, count star as order count, and then sum order amount as total. Anyhow, we are going to do this during the practical lab session, Zoom session. Okay, so here I need to have one more column here. Okay, count star as order amount. So here, you know, I have only one label, and then I have two aggregate columns here. Yeah, and then this is a little bit complicated. First of all, you know, concentrate on the labels and then concentrate on the aggregates. So my labels is client, year and month is my labels, you know, and then my aggregate is I'm counting the order and trying to do the sum on the order. So don't look at all this. So this 5 columns, very important. And then, you know, bring these 3 columns into select. You know, I don't have a year stored in my table, but I have an order date. If you use a function like this, it will give the year. If you use month order date, it will give the month alone, right? So I have 3 labels here, and then, you know, I want count star. See, look at here, count star order count, and then sum of order amount. Okay, so now what to bring in the group by? You know, you have 5 columns here, you bring only 3 because this 3 does not have aggregate, and this example is very critical because month is not aggregate, you know, year is not aggregate. It's only that I'm trying to extract year and then grouping by that year. Okay, I'm not doing either sum or average or, you know, count or min or max on year or order date, right? So this, even though it is using a function, it is still a label to me. Okay, but the calculation or summarization is happening on these 2 columns, so don't bring these 2 columns to the group by. Order by you can specify or you can't, that should be okay. Yeah. So that's what you know, like group by is, and definitely, you know, we will be having a lengthy practical session in our Zoom session on the group by after we complete the theoretical part.